Hello, my name is Kiriath, and this is another little Emperor's Children army update. Not really so much in terms of progress, but the kind of roadmap for where I'm going to be taking it and the stuff I'm going to be using as I go further into this project, because I've got what I think is most of it kind of planned out at this point, and I thought I would share the bits that I've planned out, because I've decided to make it at least somewhat of a mission to make it so that everyone else, you guys, feel like you can and should kit bash as much as you want to, and just throwing ideas out there might help with that. So once these Terminators are finished, they're without heads at the moment because I'm working on turning the Aris Custodes heads into Emperor's Children heads through the use of a craft knife and some very careful cutting to make some really nice scars and kind of defacement going on. Once the Terminators are done, I'm going to move on to the Obliterators, and I have actually settled on what I'm going to do with the Obliterators at this point. Might be a couple of things that will need tweaking, but I have the basic idea all planned out. As I said before, I've got part of a Centurion kit, so I've got like las cannons and the various weapons that come with that. And I kept saying storm vermin last time. Not storm vermin, storm fiends. The big guys, the really massive like rat ogre dudes with the crazy like warp stone stuff sticking out of them. And there's I think one of them in particular has like a really cool rotary cannon thing instead of a hand or both hands, which I probably end up just using that as the weapon because it looks badass. I'm still undecided as to whether to attempt to use the Centurion heads on there or whether to try and do something with Ogrian heads. I'd really like them to stay Space Marine related. I did think if I can't quite make it so that it kind of so the scale is right with Space Marine heads, I did also think about maybe making it so that they had multiple heads, that maybe these Obliterators are not like singular Space Marines that have been massively bulked up, but are in fact maybe 2 or 3 Space Marines that have been like melded together. Especially since we've got the Centurion parts, I can use things like the arms, and those could be like extra limbs and stuff, make them proper like flesh crafted monstrosities, which is kind of the feel that I'm going to go for overall. The Terminators in this force are going to be kind of unique in that they're going to be relatively unchanged. They're going to be relatively normal. The rest of the army is going to be severely like I want it to be like either the leader of this force or a trusted subordinate has a real thing for improving the flesh. And so with the Obliterators, it'll be the Storm Fiends with Centurion parts and possibly like multiple heads, or see if I can maybe green stuff some Ogrian heads to look more Space Marine-y, something like that. I now also know what I'm going to do with the Possessed, which is to take the Palatine Blades from Forge World and the, I want to say Myrmidons, but I don't know if that's the right ones. The Serpent women from the Daughters of Cain. Those are going to be meshed together, so the Possessed for this force will have the lower half of the snake, and at some point I'll make a Demon Prince out of that same army. There is a unit that's like, it's one of the big cart looking things, the Altar of Blood or whatever, that has a model on it that's got a serpent tail, but it's loads of like multiple serpent tails. I'm going to use that as the basis for a Demon Prince conversion. I'm quite looking forward to that, but that's a bit way off. In terms of troops, because I wasn't sure what to do with troops for a bit, I was like, I don't want to just use standard Chaos Space Marines because I don't think that fits the rest of the force, and I want them to look more interesting than that, and I want them to be more kit bashed than that. I now know what I'm going to do with those as well. I'm quite looking forward to getting started on those, because those are going to be Primaris Marines. I'm going to use the Primaris as a base, and I'm going to, because it's Emperor's Children, and let's face it, Emperor's Children, in fact all Space Marines are overly muscled, but if you're going for the whole flesh crafted approach, the Primaris are not going to be using the Primaris arms for a start. They will be using Orc arms, so I'm going to get a bunch of Orc Boy arms, a bunch of Chaos Marauder arms, replace the hands from the Orcs arms with the Chaos Marauder hands, and they'll be using I've got various marks of bolter and stuff lying around in my various bits boxes, so they will be using either bolters taken from the Primaris kit. They can have stolen them, who cares? Or they'll be using, other marks of bolter that I'll take from my bits box. So even the troops are going to have that look of being just wrong, like a bit off, a bit too big, a bit too muscled and overly showing the fact that they are. I'm still kind of undecided as to what to do in terms of heads. I did think that I'd quite like to just use either the Primaris helms with some changes, or alternatively, there's a couple of different third-party places that do decent kind of Emperor's Children / Slanesh heads. So I think I'll probably decide that when I come to it. I think I'll probably mock up the first few models and then go from there as to whether I want to continue the relatively plain look outside of the massive muscles, or whether to grab something a little bit more chaosy. I've managed to grab a vehicle sprue off eBay, a chaos vehicle sprue, which is nice, which is full of spikes, and someone has very kindly offered to send me a bunch more that they've got lying around, so I'll be able to spike them up real good. I'm also going to grab some flesh cloaks from Spellcrow, because those look really, really cool and will suit the Force perfectly. I thought as well, I kind of want to have a bit of everything in terms of the Chaos Forces. I want to have a little bit of every unit, so I would like some havocs, which again will most likely be Primaris, or I might use aggressors, but switch it out so that instead of just having the big gorilla arms with the guns on the back, maybe use orc arms again, but actually have them holding weapons properly. So if I use assault cannons or auto cannons or lance cannons or whatever, or I might just make big combination versions of those. They'll look a little bit Obliterator-esque, but I don't really care. I just want them to have their own feel. They'll have those instead. I did also decide I've never ever used Raptors. Never bothered with them. In all the time that I've tried Chaos and all the time that I had my Iron Warriors army, never bothered with Raptors at all. But then I realised that the number of places where you can get actual proper demonic wings, kind of have to. As soon as I realised that, I was like, oh man, I could make really, really ugly almost kind of 2 sets of wings on each guy. I'd still quite like to have a jump pack, so I was thinking I might use Blood Angel or Sanguinary Guard jump packs and actually use proper kind of actual demonic wings instead of having the kind of the fake ones that they the kind of ornamental ones. The base model for that I'm not entirely sure what to do with. I do think maybe stick with Primaris, but I'd quite like to have something that's a little bit more demonic. I did think about possibly using the Galvorback from Forge World for the Raptors. If I took those, maybe messed around with the heads a little bit, did a bit of head swapping, so they look like proper kind of flying monstrosities, that would be awesome. I also have a really horrendous, ridiculous idea for a Helldrake, which I've got two jet bikes from Forge World. I'm seriously considering creating some sort of god-awful monstrosity of 2 jet bikes that have been rammed together, side by side, and it'll still have the riders, but the riders will have been molded together at the top, so the chest is kind of formed into one thing, and there's so many places where you can get proper big kind of flowing wings. I'm seriously considering trying to make some sort of Helldrake that is 2 Emperor's Children bikers that have become fused together and just grown out from it. I'm really going hard in on the experimentation and genetic manipulation side of things for this army, just because that's an element of Emperor's Children again that is talked about but isn't hugely represented any more so than any other legion. It's a similar basis for me as the colour scheme. The colour scheme is going to be so garish and over the top, and it's going to be a proper assault on the senses in terms of the combinations of colours, how many colours there are. The Emperor's Children are the OGs when it comes to taking the Emperor's work and just messing with it almost beyond reason, and I want to see that kind of represented more on the tabletop, which is which is why I'm going like so far into all of this stuff. I also would really like to get a Mauler Fiend on the go, but again, I don't particularly want it to just be a standard Mauler Fiend. I was thinking of using, is it the Mutalith Vortex Beast or whatever it is from Age of Sigmar, taking those two kits and creating like a kind of like a vat bred armored monstrosity that's been implanted with weapons. So yeah, that is the general plan for the army so far. So the order that I've got things in currently, and having actually just thought about this, it'll be the Terminators finish first, then it'll be the Obliterators, because I've already got some of the parts I need for that. Then I'll probably get 2 squads of 10 done, so I've got troops choices, because that'll then make the army playable. And I will also like kit bash some sort of HQ. It'll probably just be a Terminator Lord to start with, but that'll eventually become a Demon Prince. And once I've got the troops on the go, I will then turn my attention towards doing the Possessed, using the Snake bodies and the Palatine Blade upper bodies. And then I guess it'll be whether I want to keep doing infantry, or whether I want to try and create some sort of amazing like flying or like vehicle monstrosity instead. I guess it depends on whether I've had my fill of infantry up on it, or whether I could go for some more. We'll just have to see what happens. But I think as a roadmap, that's not too bad. You know, working with the stuff I've got for the moment, and then making the army playable, and then from there filling out either into like based on how much I'm enjoying still using that kind of unit, or creating that sort of unit, or it might be that I want to make the army a bit more functional, and so picking something that I actually need and choosing what to convert next based on that. But yeah, that is all the current plans I have for the Emperor's Children. More stuff will happen, loads more stuff. Like I want to make some. No, there's no such thing as these when I last played Chaos. There was only Obliterators. It's Mutilators, isn't it? The other ones. I do want to make some of those. I've heard from many a person that they are kind of garbage and not worth taking. But the point isn't whether they're worth taking or not. The point is whether I think I can make something really awesome and interesting to represent them, and I think I can. Really, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to end up making something for every unit for Chaos, but every single bit of it is going to be kit bashed and converted within an inch of its life, because I've still got a massive enthusiasm for this. Like, I'm looking forward to finishing the Terminators just so I can get started on the next thing, which is a really good place to be in. So yeah, that is my kind of roadmap, my vague idea as to where I'm going with the Emperor's Children next. And I hope that if any of you are sitting there thinking, I want to kit bash something, I want to convert something, but I'm running low on ideas or inspiration, I hope that's helped a little bit. And I look forward to showing you the finished Terminators when they are done soon. Actually soon. It'll be quality. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click any of the things, video, Patreon, subscribe, all of that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.